check whether the development mode, how do you check is go to your user here, your current user, and edit the user record. Scroll down here to the development mode and see that the development mode is enabled. So see the view development mode. Okay, with this what you can do is you can build a first, open up a new Salesforce site and just type this after the post.com /apex/vf page 1 and place enter. When you click on this, what happens is it will ask you whether the page exists or no. If it exists, it's going to show you a page, otherwise it's going to show you an error. So let's look at the Visualforce page error. So it shows an error. So what happens is if your develop mode is on, click on this page and you can go to the, it will take you to the development mode where you can add the code here. So it says congratulations, this is your new page. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this and it opens up the markup at the left bottom here. So now you can make the changes here, like say let's bind a variable here, say username. So we said exclamation $user.name. So let's close this. Yeah, so when we say this, so it shows this is called as a, we'll look at it in detail. This is called as a value binding. So it is taking it from the system. Similarly, you can say profile.name and print it over there. So you can change it here. So now showing system administrator. So these are system variables that we can insert over here. Okay. So now if you want, always you can look to the component reference and go over here and refer to that at any point of time for Apex pages. So right now what we will do is let's come back here. So we basically saw that what is a markup here. So let's look at the markup here. Basically you have to start with the Apex page. This is a Visualforce page markup. This shows that this is the page, and then within this you can write whatever you want based on the logic that is required, and then you can bind text and variables like this. Alright, so this is a system variable. You say curly brace exclamation dollar profile.name will show you the profile name. So similarly you can create, so that is a welcome world page. Now let's look at additional stuff. Now let's look at what is the standard controller. When you were adding data and saving data from the standard layout which was there in Salesforce, what was happening is the standard controller in the background was doing the insert, update and DML and delete for you. Let's say whenever you go to a out of the box layout here, let's say if I go to an account, if I go to this account object and say new, now what is happening is what is doing the data save is basically when I click on to save, बर्तन और अंदर झाड़ू मारवा. So now what we're going to do is basically when we create a new account or from the layout, what happens is when you click on the save, there is a standard controller of Salesforce which kicks into motion and does all your save, update and delete. Okay, you don't write any code for it. So we are going to link stuff using the, first we are going to take a look at the standard controller in Visualforce page. This page we saw has no binding to any standard controller here, just a plain page. Okay, so now let's see how to save data connected to a see, at the end of the day, as I told you, whatever you do in Apex or Visualforce on Lightning, it has to be related to your database. You are going to do a edit, update, insert, delete is what is your core operation that you're going to use 80%, 90% of the times in Salesforce. So let us see how to do that. So here first thing is you need to link it to a standard controller. The keyword is standard controller and the object API name. So what this shows you first is it will say Apex page standard controller equal to student master underscore seed. So this gets connected to your standard student master API. Any fields, anything over here now will be linked to the student master. You have to give the correct field names. So you have to bind the field names now. Like say suppose there are three types of binding. One is value binding and field binding. So here when you say exclamation account dot name, it's going to print the account name in the Visualforce page. And $user dot name is going to help you insert the global data like username or something. So three types of binding. Data binding is pulls in data from your page controller, say review C and interviewer C. Action binding is if you have any method. Currently there is a save, edit, cancel in the controller. In the standard controller, if you write a custom controller, you can call the methods from this. कुमुदनी कुमुदनी थोड़ा आवाज कम करवा आव आवाज जरा कम रखो. So now when we do the so you have data binding, action binding, and component binding. You can also embed other components within the same Visualforce. Now what we will do is now Salesforce is moving towards Lightning, so we will look at the core things for Visualforce, but we will not spend too much time on Visualforce. Rather, I have a complete course in Lightning Aura components and Lightning web components, which is basically concerned about the new UI of Salesforce, which is a separate course. You can find that in Udemy also. Okay, so here we will be looking at Visualforce UI, but we'll be looking at limited things because many of the things are getting depreciated by Salesforce as we go ahead. So continuing with the binding, what you can see is anything with an exclamation is evaluated as an expression, like say dynamic variable, contact.phone will bring the phone number. Logic, if opportunity stage is equal to closed one, you can also embed logic within that and other functions too. You can now access to formulas or global variables, $user dot first name, $user dot last name, all those. So now let's look at the controllers. In the MVC design pattern, as I told you, in addition to the UI, the controller is the which controls the flow of data between the UI and any other client app or data layer that you have. So there are different controllers. Standard is out of the box, available for both standard and custom objects. Basically, it contains the basic actions for save, edit, delete, and automatically redirects also when the new record gets created. So you can also show a single record or a multiple records at time. Object field security is implemented automatically. Okay, so whenever you have a sharing rules and all set up, if sharing is set to private, then automatically the rules are set up. So custom controller, if you do not want to use the standard controller and you want to write your own complete custom logic, then you can write it in custom controller. This is written in Apex, and base logic for actions have to be implemented. So you don't have a out of the box save, you will have to write your own save logic. Okay, it does not implement object and field security, so your class should have with sharing by default on. All right, controller extension is an Apex that is written to extend the functionality of the standard. Now suppose you have a standard or custom controller, but you want to add some logic to it, so you can override the specific action, save, edit, new, in addition to the standard or custom logic standard controller. So you can have a standard controller and a extension controller. The standard controller is available for all objects. You don't have to write any logic. You don't have to create any test class for it. You can grab a single record or set of records. Okay. So it provides the standard create, update, delete, and field CRUD operations. Can be extended if you see extension controller. कुमुदनी आवाज जरा कम करो. Use ID query string parameter in URL to access object. So let us see all of this. Now the example of the tags that we have is we have a Apex tags are Visualforce Apex page block. It has a title. Now if you have output field, you can say value. Now this is a binding, value binding, contact dot first name, last name, coarse grain data Apex detail, Apex plot, block table, action tags, Apex command, action equal to save. So this is going to search for a method. Now see here it says exclamation save. So it is going to search for a method either in the standard controller, customer controller with the same name. So let us look at an example here. So basically what is happening here is, suppose we want to see any particular record. Now this page will have this list. Okay, I'm going to show the related list here. So actually we will build it, then it will make sense. So now look at this. Now at the top you have to give standard controller and then say welcome you student. We give the bindings. The student master underscore underscore c dot name will take the standard controller and show it. Then in Apex page block table, we are going to show the columns values. Okay, so that's how we basically, and if you want to show any related records, then all you can do is you can say student master c student marks underscore underscore r where equal to stud. So this student marks c dot student marks r will bring the relationship record. Okay, so now let us build it and then it will make sense to us. So now if you want to input data, what you do is you say Apex page standard controller and you say input fields. So when you say input fields, what will happen is it will start absorbing the data here, and command button save will invoke a method, save and cancel method from our standard controller and save the data that you pass over here. So you have to give student master c dot the correct API name. Okay, so now let us build it for accounts. Before we go to the building of it, please take a look at this slide here. See how this is mapped. We have the input field, command buttons, and there are attributes. Each Apex field has got tag has got attributes. Value will show the value, ID is for that particular tag. Similarly, each of them has got, you can also introduce style classes between them, and all of them have to be in a form if you want to do any DML. Okay, Apex form is important inside a page. Now if you want the permissions required, somebody needs to create a Visualforce page. These are the permissions that need to be on the profile. These are the permissions. If some user comes running to you saying that I am not able to edit or create a Visualforce page, what you have to do is go to the profile of that user and see that he has got these following permissions correctly. Currently in his profile. So what are the standard controller methods? We can list, view, cancel, save. So these are the methods that we have. Okay, you can also do a delete. Now if you want to show a list of records, we can show it using Apex page standard controller record account record set where. Now let's understand this. This is just like your HTML block table. Okay, when we say Apex page standard controller record account, it's going to it's going to connect to the standard controller account API and get the data into this, automatically get into a ACC list record set where. This record set where needs to be, you need to go through the in a page block table. So you'll assign this and get the variable and again show the columns within that. So these are the various tags that we have: Apex page block, title, help title, DAR, rendered. So these are the attributes that you have, each of them. As you can see, rendered, it can conditionally show the value. ID is an ID, so if you want to access it from the code, you can use it. Similarly for command button and for page block buttons. Okay. Now a couple of other things that you can see is additional variables. You can have global actions, like you can say URL for. What it will do is it will redirect you to this page when you click on this. Alright, then you have account actions. New action will redirect to a new tab. If you say $action account dot above links needs to be linked in a page tag. The above one needs to be linked to the page tag. And if you want to get a parameter of a current page, what you do is apex pages.current page.get parameters.id. If you want to get the URL parameter of the current record, then you can get it if you want to pass any parameters. Okay. And from within, if you want to pass, you can say $current page parameters related ID. Now a couple of things here: today's date, additional stuff. Now if you want to give a conditional tag, you can give it this way: if and price less than 1. And output link, if there is another page you want to, then you can do all those things. Then you can check the user theme. whether the lightning experience Salesforce theme is on. These are some variables that you can embed, like say for example, if you want to show the today's time. So let's create a blockwise for account and let's see that. Okay, let's create a first example for standard controllers.